Welcome to Revolutionary War Rarities, the podcast of the Sons of the American Revolution. Like, follow, and subscribe to our podcast in your favorite application. You can also follow our podcast at fastfunhistory.com. For education resources provided by the National Society Sons of the American Revolution, go to education.sar.org. And now, Revolutionary War Rarities.
Hi, folks. Welcome to Revolutionary War Rarities, the podcast from the Sons of the American Revolution. And today we have a very special guest, Mr. Roger Williams. Roger, thank you for being here.
Good to be with you, Jim. You know, I love having talk with you anytime.
Well, we appreciate it. You guys will recall from our last Christmas special, which ended up being one of our most popular episodes that we've ever done. Roger was with us. Roger is an SAR member. He is the SAR State Historian for New Jersey, an entrepreneur, a book publisher,
literary agent,
and co-founder of 10 Crucial Days, which can be found at
10crucialdays.org. 10crucialdays.org gives tours of Washington Crossing, the battles of Trenton and Princeton.
Perfect. So what we're going to talk about today, well, let me add one more thing to this. We're actually in a very special place as well. We're in the library of the Sons of the American Revolution, located on Main Street on Museum Row in Louisville, Kentucky. So we're thankful to be here. We'll see. You should be seeing some scenes of the library behind us now as well. So it's a great place to be. We would welcome visitors to this location anytime you're in Louisville. Please stop by and check it out. So, Roger.
Yeah.
Like I said, one of the best episodes or most popular episodes we've ever done was our Christmas special, and you were on it. And we talked about the crossing and the painting. And the name of that was, What's Wrong with This Picture?
Right.
And we described some of the things that were wrong with that picture, which was painted by Emanuel Leutze.
Emanuel Leutze in 1851. He actually did two versions of the same painting.
Okay. All right. So this is actually a prequel to that.
Yep.
And it talks about, what we're going to talk about today is why the crossing was so critical, what led to that crossing, and how close and precarious we were to complete failure at that point, right?
Yeah, it was, as Thomas Paine wrote in the month of December of 1776, these are the times that try men's souls, that famous pamphlet that he published on December 14th, 1776. And we had just signed the Declaration of Independence 6 months prior, and the New York campaign took place in and around New York. Washington and the American Army lost 5 battles, and Washington lost more than half of his army. He was in dire straits, and he had to figure out what was he going to do next to keep the revolution alive. Mm-hmm. So first thing he had to do is he had to reposition his army. He could not be that close to the British Army. They kept losing these battles. So he figured that if he traveled further south through the Jerseys, it was called the Jerseys then, two provinces really sort of in the demographic makeup, that he could pick up more militia. And that's why he marched south. He needed a natural barrier. That's why he crossed the Delaware River. And,
now, did that also separate the British from their supply lines as well?
Well, it strung the British supply line out as General Howe determined that what was going to happen after the armies went into winter quarters, they were going to attack the American ersatz capital of Philadelphia. So he set up these row of cantonments throughout the Jerseys, all the way up from today's Newark, New Jersey, down to Burlington, New Jersey, which is not too far north of Philadelphia, and it was critical that he have that port. So, but Washington was very, very smart in that on December 1st, as they were moving south through the Jerseys, he sent orders to several militia units to collect up all of the boats on the Delaware River. He wanted to have complete control of all the watercraft.
This was on December 1st.
That was on December 1st. He was in Brunswick. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he knew that he had already planned on doing it.
He knew what he was going to do. That's right. Yeah.
And
I mean, we don't know that for sure, but it just, as you put the pieces together, which you often had to do with George Washington, he would write letters to Congress and letters to his relatives, but he would never reveal what his plans were.
So what was it, when this all started, there were X number of soldiers, and then by the time we reached December, there were X minus some number of soldiers. Do you know approximately?
Yeah, sure. In the New York campaign, which began the end of August of 1776, the British and the Hessians, the auxiliaries that they had hired to join them, there were almost 35,000 Crown troops in and around New York, whereas Washington had about 19,000. And
in the New York campaign.
In the New York campaign. Now, part of the problem with the New York campaign is that they had to defend Staten Island, Manhattan Island, Long Island. You notice a trend here? We had no navy.
Yeah,
the British had the most powerful navy in the world. So where are you going to set up your defenses? And that's why the New York campaign was such a disaster.
And not to mention the fact that if you're on an island and someone is charging at you, you have nothing but water at your back.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And at one point during the Battle of Brooklyn, Washington indeed had what it was left of his army trapped on Brooklyn Heights, and they managed to escape that night in another remarkable story, which is a different episode. But what Washington had left with him on about November 20th, when the British crossed the Hudson River and had just captured Fort Washington. They had captured over 2,300 troops on the northern tip of Manhattan Island. Washington had with him in what is today Fort Lee, New Jersey, which is where the George Washington Bridge enters from New York to New Jersey. He had about 9,000 troops with him. He had sent Charles Lee, his second in command, up into Rockland County in case the British started to march up through the Hudson Valley. Washington, with about 3,000 or 4,000, between 3,000 and 4,000 troops, marched down through the Jerseys to Bucks County. So that's all he had with him, whereas the British were pretty much at full strength. And that's why they set up all these cantonments, outposts throughout the Jerseys. So it was everyone at that point. By the end of November, the Howe brothers issued a proclamation that if you rebels just put down your arms, all is forgiven. Sign this oath of allegiance to the king, and nothing will be done to you. So the citizens of New Jersey were saying, okay, this war is done. Many of the officers were saying, I'm going home. Many of the troops, one of the reasons why he lost so many of the troops, they said, you know what, this isn't working. Congress at that point had evacuated from Philadelphia. I mean, everyone thought the war was over at that point.
By December the 1st.
By December the 1st, certainly by December 14th, when the British went into winter quarters, the Howe brothers felt there was no reason for any more bloodshed. Washington and the Americans are done. They can't fight. They can't win a battle. We might as well just go into winter quarters and wait until the springtime when we can essentially march across the Delaware River and capture Philadelphia. That was the plan. That was the British plan.
Wow. So we're inching up towards Christmas.
Yep. It had nothing to do with Christmas.
Right.
I mean, the reason why they attacked is because when Washington set up his headquarters in what is today Morrisville, Pennsylvania, which is right across the river from Trenton, New Jersey, he was sending letters to his second in command, Charles Lee, and his third in command, Henry Gates, to consolidate the troops, bring them all down to where I am in Bucks County. Well, Charles Lee, who fancied himself as he should have been in command in the first place, he was dragging his feet. He figured, you know what, if I just let this thing go, the Congress will get rid of Washington and I will be able to be in command. Well, on December 13th, he got himself captured by doing some silly, get moving away from his troops. Well, that was actually a wonderful opportunity because that freed up all of the troops under his command. Charles Lee's second in command, General John Sullivan from New Hampshire, took the New England troops and marched through West Jersey, crossed the Delaware River, and on December 22nd, Washington now was at full strength. So now Washington felt, okay, my small army of 3,000 men is bigger than any one of those cantonments through the Jersey. So if I attack them, the outposts, if I attack them one at a time, then I might have a shot of turning this thing around.
How far were those cantonments away from each other?
Well, it depends. I mean, some were as little as 6 miles or 5 miles. Some were 12 and 15 miles. If you look at a map of New Jersey, they were in Newark, Elizabethtown was what it was called then, New Brunswick, it was called Brunswick then, and then you had Kingston, Princeton, Trenton, and then the Hessians were put on the left flank, the position of honor, further south into West Jersey. They were sent down to Burlington, which I mentioned earlier was this very important port along the Delaware River. But the Philadelphia Navy were bombarding them incessantly. So they actually moved a little bit further north to today's Bordentown, New Jersey. So, and each of these towns are anywhere from 6 to about 12, 13 miles away from each other.
So we are just about out of time. Is there anything else you think is critical for our viewers to know about the prequel to the, to the crossing?
Something that is rarely discussed is during the month of December, when the Hessians and the British were occupying the Jerseys, that was the time when many of the militia started to attack the British from all sides. They couldn't forage out and get hay or firewood, and so they were under constant attack. Particularly the week before the crossing, there were some engagements down in South Jersey that I was mentioning, Bordentown, and at a place called Petticoat Bridge in Burlington County, New Jersey. Had it not been for that attack that occurred at Petticoat Bridge in Mount Holly, New Jersey, the crossing may not have been successful. So there's these things that we don't know about that you've never heard of that really took into account what really made certain military actions successful. And today, in fact, this past week, we met with me and one of our compatriots in the SAR who's doing a stellar job, met with the mayor of the township where that Petticoat Bridge is, and we're negotiating saving that piece of battlefield. Wow. And the American Battlefield Trust is helping us. So this is great. So,
Roger, thank you for being with us.
Absolutely.
I love prequels.
Yeah.
Next episode with you needs to be the sequel.
Yeah.
Right. And we did something similar. We did interview an author that wrote...
one of my authors, actually.
Yes, yeah. that wrote The Enemy Harassed.
Enemy Harassed. I'm very proud of that book. I had been looking for an author to write that book for many years because this is, again, actions that took place that few people know about between January of 1777 and June of 1777. There were about 36 skirmishes and battles that all happened in central New Jersey, that there were more British and Hessian soldiers killed during that period of time than either the New York campaign or the Philadelphia campaign.
While they were in winter encampment, which a lot of people think winter encantments where you were just sitting there with your feet
not
up.
So much.
No, absolutely. Thank you again, Roger.
Absolutely, Jim. It's great to talk to you as always.
Thank you. Our independence was precarious at best throughout most of the American Revolution. It took diligence, it took special men, it took hard work, and it took some luck. There were many, many things that went into our independence, and we are certainly thankful that we ultimately did end up winning that war and created the greatest nation in the history of mankind.
Absolutely.
And that, my friends, is a Revolutionary War rarity. My name is Jim Griffith.
And my name's Roger Williams.
That's Roger Williams. We thank you for being with us today. And this has been a production of the National Society, Sons of the American Revolution.